Ontario has an early election. The Progressive Conservatives will have a large fundraising advantage. The Tories led the pack last year with more than $10.5 million in donations. We have CBC Toronto's Shawn Jeffords here with us to break down the numbers. I know you've been going through the data from Elections Ontario. So take us through how all the parties rank and what will all that cash be used for?
Well, Shannon, as you said right off the top there, $10.6 million raised by the Progressive Conservatives, according to Elections Ontario's real-time data from last year, from 2024. So that puts them well out in front. Now, a distant second are the Ontario Liberal Party, who raised $2.5 million. The NDP raised $2.4 million, and the Greens raised $1.2. I should say that the opposition parties are quick to point out that this is not the full picture. They say that this real-time reporting does not include donations under $200. It doesn't include donations to riding associations, and those add an additional $3 million, the NDP and the Liberals say, to their respective coffers. Now, I spoke with experts who, were basically telling me that this money is going to be used to finance these campaigns if there is an election campaign, and we're hearing in Megan's report there about the constant rumors here at Queen's Park these days, and what really that cash will be used for is to advertise. So here's Conservative strategist Dan Mader talking about how the government, frankly, is using that money right now.
But really, it is advertising. I mean, we're already seeing a lot of ads on TV. I think people are used to seeing the Premier's face if they're watching playoff football these days. Those ads cost money. And, there will be a lot more of those from all the parties once the election is called. And people are piling up money in the war chest so they can afford those ads.
So Mader also mentioned that social media will play a big role, advertising there. The whole idea is the parties want to get their message out in front of viewers, in front of social media users, and that's the way to do it.
So if the opposition is behind the Tories in this fundraising, what does that mean for them if there's this possible snap vote?
Shannon, all the experts I spoke to agreed this puts all of the opposition parties at a disadvantage. I mean, they just don't have the same capacity to get out there and reach potential voters, influence them, and get their message in front of them. And that really is the name of the game during an election. I spoke with former Liberal Cabinet Minister John Malloy, who's been part of a lot of planning and campaign strategy over the years. Here's what he had to say about that disadvantage.
You can't just run a clever ad a few times. You have to run it over and over and over again. And you have to go where the people are, which may mean a Stanley Cup playoffs game. It may mean a major sporting event. Those ads are astronomically expensive, but you have to have it over and over and over again.
So again, that repetition that you just can't do. And a lot of the parties, Malloy says right now, they're holding back. They're saving that money until a potential election campaign is called, and then they'll spend it.
So we know parties also have access to a taxpayer-funded subsidy. Where do they sit when it comes to those numbers?
Shannon, that's right. That's another thing that all of the parties at Queen's Park can lean on. It's a little less lucrative, but we are still talking about millions of dollars. This is a taxpayer-funded subsidy that was created in 2017, and the whole idea was to ban corporate and union donations and replace it with a subsidy to try to level the playing field a little bit. But if you're the government, this is awarded on a per-vote basis, so you again have an advantage. The Tories were able to get $5 million from this fund last year. The Liberals and the NDP, whose vote in 2022 was roughly the same, also had around $2.5 million from this fund. And the Greens raised about $700,000 that they can then also lean on here. This fund was actually going to be discontinued at the end of 2024, but in November, very quietly, the parties all reached unanimous support, and the government announced that it would be extending this per vote subsidy. 63 cents is paid to these parties per vote every 3 months, every quarter of the year, and that will now continue on to 2026.